Well, welcome everybody to another segment of Lewis at Large. Yours truly, Warner Lewis from the Flight Deck, and that means some smart talk radio is in your future, and this segment no exception. Going to have a good one here. We're going to be talking to a very, very erudite Dara Feldman. She's an author, a speaker. She's also a coach and an educator, all about bringing joy, meaning, and purpose back to teaching and learning. Admirable indeed. She is a master facilitator. She's the director of education and chair of the board for the Virtues Project, which we will talk about. She has also earned numerous awards, including she has National Board Certification in Early Childhood. She was honored in 2005 as Disney's Outstanding Elementary Teacher of the Year and Educator of the Year for the National Association for Self-Esteem in 2009, all of which sounds extremely positive to me. Dara, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well and grateful for the opportunity to talk with you this morning.
You bet. Well, let's do this. Let's give our Lewis at Large listeners in Northeast Kansas a little bit more background about you. I know that it is important to you to transform schools and systems to be more supportive of our children and all people, but why is this area so important to you?
Well, I'm a recovering kindergarten teacher, so I spent a lot of time working in elementary schools, taught kindergarten through fourth grade, and really went into teaching and learning to make a difference. But as you've seen, for more than about a decade, the focus in education has been solely on high-stakes testing and academic rigor. And as a result of No Child Left Behind, the majority of teachers and administrators are losing their passion for teaching and learning. And our kids feel reduced to a statistic, and they're losing their idealism and not bringing their best selves to school each day. It's heartbreaking. Again, because your approach has always been so positive and recognized, you recognize obviously the good. It must be, is it tough for you sometimes to face some of this stuff, or do you see it as a real challenge? Well, I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons that I was blessed as the Disney teacher. I found out about the Virtues Project when I was in a boat with the overall Disney Teacher of the Year, David Vixie, and I asked him what in his repertoire spoke to him the most. And he pulled out a little card with all these positive qualities of character. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's why I went into education to begin with. So I feel that it's a sacrifice for me to have left the classroom, but really a commitment to help me get my other educator buddies who are out there struggling and not realizing that the rest of us are feeling the same way too, to start this education revolution. I've lost the amnesia, and so I kind of feel like part of my job is to help everybody else lose their amnesia, for us to stand up for what we know is in the best interest of our kids and teaching and learning all together.
Why don't you define for us a little bit here and put some clarity of point on what exactly the Virtues Project International really is?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So it's a global grassroots organization, 5 strategies for bringing out the best in ourselves and others. It's about inspiring individuals to live more authentic, joyful lives, families to raise children of compassion and integrity, educators to create safe, caring, and high-performing learning communities, and leaders to inspire excellence and ethics in the workplace. Basically, it's a language and a lens.
I'm curious as to, on this project, what kind of support do you get from parents? Do you get from schools and other organizations? Curious as to who the allies are here.
Well, it's interesting. I think that we're getting more and more allies these days, especially in business. I don't know if you've noticed, but people are talking about how appreciation is really important, how gratitude is really important, looking for integrity in business. So businesses are starting to come along and support this initiative. In schools, educators are saying, we can't just focus on academics. We need to be balancing performance character with moral character. We don't want kids to grow up to be, I'm sorry to say this, but like the heads of Enron, where they're really good at crossing their I's and dotting their T's, but their ethics are a little bit out of balance. So educators are coming on board. And parents, I think, are probably our number one advocates. When the founder of the Virtues Project was on Oprah,
Oprah said of the Family Virtues Guide that it's the instruction manual that our kids didn't come with. And it's even harder today raising kids. So it's really, everybody's getting on board with this project.
What do you see? I know you're an advocate. You're the town crier. You're out spreading the word. But what kind of challenges do you face?
Well, that's a great question. I think the biggest challenge is the word virtues. For many, many years when I started doing this work, especially in education, people would see the word virtues and they would think it was religious. They would think it was limited to a political party, that we were taking somebody's inventory. But virtues are just universal, positive qualities of character that are agreed upon by all of humanity. And so we probably would have gotten a lot farther if we had a different name for the Virtues Project, but we don't.
Okay. What, and again, I know you because you are, in fact, connected with public schools, and children are your passion. Where do you think overall, has the American education system in some ways lost its way, or is it just need some tweaking from time to time?
You know, I think that we have a lot of research out there of what best practices look like. And if the policymakers would listen to those of us educators and administrators on the front line about what's best in education, then we have a wealth of knowledge. But I think that policy people are really running from a place of fear, and they're looking at education as competition and, looking at us compared to the Chinese and the Indians, etc. But China is looking at us now and saying we want to be more creative like the Americans, and their pendulum is swinging the other way. So I do think in some ways we're a little off course. We've lost our balance. I got a sad email this morning. One of my Disney brothers, who's on the other side of the Potomac River, is retiring for the same reason that I left Montgomery County Public Schools 7 years ago, because of this high-stakes testing and focusing on, teaching to the test. And that's not what life is about.
If you just joined us, here's truly Warner Lewis from the flight deck of Lewis at Large Radio. We are in the midst of an interesting segment with Dara Feldman, bringing joy, meaning, and purpose back to teaching and learning. She is a master facilitator, director of education, and chairman of the board for the Virtues Project International. Very much concerned about and working hard to help the educational opportunities for young people, in particular, very young people. Dara, as we kind of move down the road here, again, you were the past president of the Maryland Center for Character Education. You're also very involved in childhood technology and technology as a learning delivery channel for children. What are you finding out?
It's interesting. That's my past life, is the early literacy and technology. And my 19-year-old son will make fun of me because he feels like I'm a little bit behind the eight ball. But I think that we're moving in a more positive direction in actually using technology for making a difference in the world, for connecting people of other cultures, for helping young children and even older children realizing that the world is flat, that, we all live on Mother Earth, and that we're all connected in some ways. So when we can use the technology to understand how we are alike and different and to support one another around the world, then technology is a really powerful force for good.
What, again, if you were to able to wave a wand over the American public education system, one particular change that is an absolute must and at the top of your list?
The absolute must is really focusing on character development and social emotional learning, helping young people and adults as well know their inherent value, being able to just change our language. Instead of saying, how many times have I told you to get your homework done, inviting students, please be purposeful and finish your assignment. Just changing our language to be able to hold up a mirror and say, I see you, I see all those character qualities in you, and here's the evidence.
Will there be those critics possibly on the sidelines saying, you know what, it's time for them just to get some discipline and some focus and get down to work.
There is. And, those people, if they would realize that if the words that we use have incredible power, that if instead of just saying, do this, without guiding young people to know how to do it, and instead of punishing, but using restorative justice, which is basically instead of sending somebody to detention or suspension, asking them, okay, what happened? What was the problem that happened? What was the virtue or the character quality that was missing? In the future, if this situation were to happen again, what character quality would you call on, and what would it look like? And the last and final part of restorative justice is giving that person the opportunity to make an amends so that they know that they've made a mistake, not that they are a mistake. And what that helps is to restore that person into the whole of the community and repair the harm that was done for both the person who made the mistake and also whom they've hurt.
As we start to wind down here a little bit, Dara, again, the whole concept of bringing joy, meaning, and purpose back to teaching and learning, who's got to come the farthest on this, do you think, the teachers or the students?
Well, I think it's the policymakers, because they're the ones who are holding the educators' hands back and saying, don't do this, you don't have time to develop relationships, you need to focus on the academic rigor. So I think if businesses would help to drive policy change, then it will free teachers up once again to bring that joy, meaning, and purpose back to teaching and learning. And not only will our students benefit, but our entire society will benefit. Because remember, those young people are the change that we wish to see. They are our future, and educators can make such an important difference if we're given that opportunity.
Well, it is a subject that will be talked about as long as there are parents, as long as there are schools, as long as there are students. It is the approach, the philosophy, the energy, the resources devoted to those endeavors. Her name is Dara Feldman. She is, again, she's a master facilitator and director of education and chairman of the board for the Virtues Project. She works very hard on behalf of young people, which ultimately is on behalf of all of us. Dara, how can people find out more about this?
Thank you for your thoughtfulness asking. So I've just published a book, and it's on Amazon. It's The Heart of Education, Bringing Joy, Meaning, and Purpose Back to Teaching and Learning. You can also connect with me at my website, darafeldman.com, D-A-R-A, F as in Frank, ELDMAN.com. Also, feel free to give me a call at 301-529-1302. I'm really committed to helping make a change in education and really looking for some key players who can stand up and bring this education revolution to the forefront. And I'm really grateful for your generosity of time today.
You bet. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You bet. We will be back with more right after this on Lewis at Large.